When my wife found out that she was pregnant with Avery, one of the things we discussed was what kind of culture did we want to create in our household now that we were going to have children. When we hear the word culture, we often associate it with workplace culture. How do we have employees be more engaged? What can we do to make employees more productive? Is it an environment where people can not just survive, but can they thrive? Well, why wouldn't we want that in our homes? You see, we wanted our children to be able to come and talk to us about anything and everything. It didn't mean that they had to, but it did mean that they could if they wanted to. We wanted them to be able to express themselves and share their feelings and their thoughts. We wanted them to be comfortable engaging in conversations from a very young age because we knew that was going to be important to their development as they grew and became older. We also wanted to challenge their thinking, and we wanted them to be able to challenge and ask questions about what they heard and what they saw. So Avery, if you could, share a little bit with everyone about how growing up in an environment where open conversations were present.
Absolutely. I mean, it's crucial. Young people today need an environment where they feel like they can be listened to, and they need an environment where they feel they can express themselves. And this was so beneficial for me when I was growing up. See, what you all have to understand is I was not an outgoing kid. And I know that seems pretty ironic considering that I'm talking to you today. But as my dad likes to say, when I was growing up, I was like a cat. Now, my brother, he was a dog. He was barking. Anything that came to his mind, he wanted to say. For me, I was the one that was a little bit more observant, a little bit more shy, and I needed some time to warm up. Now, it took a lot of encouraging from my parents to express myself, and eventually this led to me gaining some confidence, and I found my voice. Now, my dad used to give my brother Justin and I these life lessons or these teachings consistently while we were growing up. And over time, these became known as Brian Bakerisms in our home. Now, the Brian Bakerism that works really well for open conversations is closed mouths don't get fed. I'm gonna repeat that. Closed mouths don't get fed. Now, my dad used to tell me this from the time that I was 6, 7, 8 years old. And admittedly, I didn't really know what he was talking about back then. But as I got older, I realized how true that statement is. When I got into the classroom and I knew that I was struggling with a course or I was struggling with the content, I had to open up my mouth and either let my teacher know or go talk to some of my classmates and ask them, hey, do you understand this? I might need some help. As I got into the workplace, I mentioned that I interned in Washington, D.C., and I worked for a firm that was very fast-paced. It is one of the greatest Brian Bakerisms that you ever gave me, Pops.
Well, you know, the fact of the matter is closed mouths don't get fed. But we also can't have open conversations if we're not good listeners. My wife is a fantastic listener. She always has been. I don't know, maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. But I do know this. If we're going to invite people in our household to come and talk to us about anything and everything, we cannot be thinking about what we're going to say before they finish their thoughts. We can't sit up there and think about how you're going to answer when you don't even know if there's a question that's going to be asked. As a matter of fact, the encouragement that we give to you today is to go into conversations and leave your agenda behind. You know, when I was small, when my grandmother would fuss at me, I would just say to her, all right, Grandma, I hear you. And my grandmother would respond, that's the problem. You hear me, but you're not listening. You see, hearing is very passive. Listening is very active. And we can't invite people to have open conversations with us if we're not going to work on truly, actively listening to them.